In this video, we'll talk about how to protect your pieces and make sure putting your pieces into a safe spot where it's not easily being attacked and get lost by your opponent's strong attacking moves. Okay, let's take a look at a few examples in one game. In this position is black's move, and white's last move was rook f1 to e1 with the idea to attack the bishop on e4. So here, a strong defensive move would be bishop to g6, where in this spot, both the h7 and f7 is protecting the g6, and it's very hard for white to continue to attack the bishop on g6. Another example in this particular position would be bishop to c2, winning an extra pawn, although it's not as safe as on g6, but at the same time, it's not that easily being attacked from white's rooks, so taking the pawn here is fairly safe. In the game, black played rook to d4, protecting the bishop. In fact, in this game and in this position, this is a perfectly good move. But we'll come back to this moment and discuss why this is sometimes a dangerous idea, and we'll also discuss why it actually does work in this particular position. Before we continue with the other variations of rook d4, let's continue with the game. Here, white played bishop to e3, now attacking black's rook. And I think in this particular position, black was focused on using the rook to protect the bishop on e4, that black forgot that actually right now the bishop on e4 is not being attacked anymore because white's bishop is blocking the rook. So here, a perfectly safe move is just to move the rook back. Now, it is the case that white can try to take the pawn or do some discovery attack on the bishop. But at least, let's say, for example, here, maybe now, black can play this with the idea of f3, can give a check, and then this rook is being protected by the other rook, so this bishop can be moved easily. This pin is not as strong as one move earlier where this rook is not protected. However, in the game, I think black was constantly worried about using the rook to protect the e4 bishop. He played c5, which was definitely not a good move, because after white takes the rook, not only does white wins the rook, white also wins the bishop. So now white basically gained the bishop back, or gained the rook back. So earlier black had a rook up or a bishop up, but now after this position, white has a rook for the bishop. Now after white wins the bishop on e4, he is attacking the d4 pawn, and there's some possible moves of rook e8 to make a strong pin on black's h8 rook. So in the game, black played g6, but here a stronger move to make sure this pawn is protected well and also at the same time develop this rook. Bishop c5, protecting this pawn and getting ready to get the h8 rook activated. And this is another reason for bishop c5 is a good move. It's not so easy for white to invade into black's position because e7 is still guarded by the bishop, and black can get ready to play king d7 and rook d8 as well, based on how white reacts to this position. Okay, now let's go back to an earlier position where I was discussing why rook d4 here works, but sometimes it's a dangerous idea. So let's take a look. Here, the rook is protecting the bishop. So a common theme is eliminate the defender. And one idea is to push c3. Now, there's not that many squares for the rook that can continue to protect the bishop. Only two squares, in fact, rook to c4 or rook to a4. And after either one, either c4 or a4, white can play b3. And now the black's c4 rook has nowhere to go that can still protecting the e4 bishop. So say, for example, after take, white will be able to get the bishop back. However, in this position, black does have a strong defense, and it's actually more of a counter-attack. Black can simply play rook d8, and white will not be able to play rook e4 because black has a back rank checkmate idea. So after rook e4, rook d1, this is a common back rank mate. So in fact, the bishop is safe at this particular moment. So as I said earlier in the video, in this position, rook to d4 was a good move, but sometimes it's not a good idea to protect pieces like this because it's very easily being attacked. However, it works in this position because of the strong rook d8 move, since the back rank problem is a big issue for white. So this bishop is also protected here. Alright, so make sure you protect your pieces and put those pieces into strong defended squares. And also try to eliminate your opponent's defender whenever you have an opportunity.